Yo, what's up? My name is Patrouski, with more content than I've ever seen released during a single event, released right now during the Halloween events 2024 in PokeMMO. A lot of players are overwhelmed and confused and wondering what they should be doing, and this video is hopefully going to address that. This is a list of every single Halloween activity you can do right now within the game. Now, as I'm recording this, the event has still been out for less than 14 hours or so I'm sure I'm going to miss some information or miss a few things. So let me know in the comments. We can fill in any information gaps as a community. That's what a huge part of these events are about. But as a brief overview, the activities include catching swarm Pokemon and then turning them in for mysterious dusk balls, catching wisp Pokemon and hunting down all the wisps, fighting mini bosses for special candy, fighting kids for spooky candy, doing the Pumpking boss on easy or hard mode for different rewards, doing the Galvantula raid or any of the other 7 upcoming raids. There should be 7 raids in total after a few days of the events passing, or finding all the Pumpcat locations for an Alpha Zoro encounter. Now, there's tons of other updates, buffs, nerfs, and game changes that happened alongside this event, but I'm just going to focus on the Halloween-themed content for now. This is also just focused on activities, so I'm not going to be covering like gift shop or RP vanities or other vanities achieved in strange ways, like opening goodie bags. I wouldn't count gambling personally as an activity to play the game about. Activity number 1 is going to be catching swarm Pokemon and then turning them for mysterious dust balls. So what that essentially looks like is following the swarm calls within my Discord, which will be linked in the description, as well as a guide that I created for this piece of content already more in depth, linked in the description. But you want to head over to all swarm Pokemon. Every single swarm is going to be beneficial. You want to catch every single swarm Pokemon, all 4 of them from every single swarm. So I'm going to head over to this Ekans location. Make sure I have a catching Pokemon in the lead of my party to help out with situations like this, but also, I've just been a big fan of spamming quick balls. Yes, they do cost a fair bit of Pokeyen, so if you can't really afford it, understandable, go ahead and false swipe Spore and then use your Pokeball. That should work really fine against these Ekans as well, but for me, the time save is worth the Pokeyen spent. Quick balls do cost around 1,300 or so Pokeyen, if I recall correctly, around 1,200 or so, 1,200 to 1,300 or so I just quick ball as many swarms as possible, and then with any downtime, I do some of the other activities we're going to cover, but you want to catch as many of them as possible. I have a box you can see named swarm Pokemon. I even have been turning in any 1x31 Pokemon. Anything that's 2x31s, I usually just sell on the GTL, but you do want to go ahead and collect as many of these as possible, and then they're going to go consume these or turn these in to a certain NPC. I'll show you here in a quick sec. Alright, after catching all the swarm Pokemon, you want to head over to a 2x31, so I'll probably go ahead and sell that on the GTL if it's worth more than 30 or 40k or so. You want to head over to a city that has the Pumpking boss fight. So that's going to include things like Lavender Town in Kanto, or things like Driftvale Town in Unova. And you want to grab all your swarm Pokemon as much as possible, and you want to turn them into the NPC who is right out here. You want to grab whatever swarm Pokemon you can, just as many as possible. For the first 2025, it's just quantity, and you want to talk to this girl and turn in all of your swarm Pokemon. Now, I've already turned in around 20 to 25 or so, and once you turn in around 20 to 25 or so, then she starts asking for specific Pokemon. So you do want to keep turning in specific Pokemon to these NPCs, and then we're guessing, we don't know for sure yet, so I don't think anybody's reached that point, but we're guessing that you get some sort of vanity from actually completing all of these at some point. There are some pretty expensive seasonal vanities on the GTL, things like the Kitsune mask, things like there's also like the spooky beanie, I believe. People are kind of theorizing that they're possibly from those. I don't know for sure yet, but you do get mysterious dust balls from turning in swarm Pokemon, which are worth currently around 60 or so a piece. Obviously, prices will continue to change and fluctuate and probably fall over time as more supplies brought into the game, but that's essentially turning in swarm Pokemon explained. Next up is finding all of the wisps around all of the locations within PokeMMO, and there are, I think, 20 or so wisps in each region, 21 wisps by the look of it. And once you collect all of the wisps, you end up getting some 1x31s and 2x31 Pokemon along the way. If you want to catch them, you can also just defeat them or run away from them. It's not really that big of a deal. But once you get all of the wisps, you end up getting unique encounters, things like Alpha Gengar in Kanto at the end of all the wisps, things like Alpha Mismagius in Johto, Alpha Dusknoir in Hoenn, Alpha Drifblim in Sinnoh, and then Alpha Chandelure in Unova. All of the wisp locations that I'm aware of will be linked in the description alongside a Game Master's guide on the forums. Next up is going to be beating up kids for their spooky candy. This is another communication and Discord based thing. So I went ahead and checked my Discord, and I saw someone said 2 Island Kanto. So I would head over to 2 Island. I would basically make my way up through this grass, and look for the kid and try to defeat him. This is a vampire kid. It's kind of hard to see because there's so many people obviously surrounding him trying to fight him, but I'll show you what the battle looks like. You do want to have decently strong enough Pokemon to be able to fight him. Here's another Wisp, which is also kind of cool to point out, but here we go. He says boo, you jump into a fight with him. You do need decently strong Pokemon to fight him. Really just a level 100 Typhlosion with choice specs, modest nature, like any sort of Jimmy Run Typhlosion should be enough to go ahead and take him out. I'm not even favorable obviously in this matchup, Typhlosion versus Crocodile, but I'm going to sit here, I'm going to spam Eruption, and it should be enough damage. The more level 100s you have in the back, the better, but this should one-shot most things. And then after you defeat the kid, you have a chance of either a spooky candy or a goodie bag. You are really hoping for a spooky candy here because it is worth significantly more Pokeyen than a goodie bag, and these spooky candies right now are currently around 50 to 60k because people need these to actually go fight the mini bosses to go get special candies, so it's sort of a money-making method. This is what I would probably recommend to most players. Kids and fighting kids for their candy and doing the mini bosses are the two things that I'd probably recommend to the most amount of players. If you're new or kind of a casual player and want to make some Pokeyen, just running around and fighting these kids to have that chance at 60k, 50k is just super good Pokeyen per hour. Now these kids are constantly rotating, despawning and respawning, so you have to watch the Discord for these different callouts or whatever social platform you want to be on, team chat, global chat, whatever works for you. So there is the kid defeated. Let's see what I get. I do get a spooky candy. I've actually been quite lucky with these so far. Once again, spooky candies being worth around 50k or so. Goodie bags being worth only around 8k or so. So you really are hoping for that spooky candy roll. I think it's, someone says around 1 out of 4 for spooky candy versus goodie bag, but I haven't really been able to test long enough to really see. So keep that in mind. I believe there is also a limit on how many kids you can defeat every 20 minutes or so. If I'm not mistaken, I think you can fight 3 kids every 20 minutes. You are limited on the amount of spooky candy you can bring into the game every so often. If I'm incorrect on this, please correct me in the comments. Once again, it's less than 15 hours of the event even being released, and I'm trying my best to accumulate all this information as quickly as possible. So I appreciate any help from the community as well. You guys have been amazingly supportive and helpful throughout this event. Next up is mini bosses, and this is pretty similar in terms of the kids. You want to check discords and global chat and team chat and whatever you want to use for those callouts, and you'll find these floating spooky pumpkins. And now these are important. I wouldn't recommend this to players who don't have a proper team for this. I recommend double Typhlosion into a Torkoal to set up Sun. That usually takes care of most things here pretty darn easily. Having some backup high-level Pokemon is also super helpful. These do consume a spooky candy, so I'm going to toss a 50,000 Pokeyen spooky candy to even jump into this fight. If you don't have that, you can't do the fight. If you aren't for sure able to beat it, I wouldn't really risk it. I'd work on building a better team. This team is really all you need. It is pretty simple. Once again, just double Typhlosion. You want a low level Torkoal, and I'm glad they actually had the rain pop up to show that example. You want a low level Torkoal here because my Torkoal was slower than the enemy NPC setting up rain, which means it sets up the sun after, which means it actually sets up the proper sun. There are obviously one of them outsped me and did some damage to my Typhlosion. I should do enough damage. I should be fine here. Yeah, I'm able to OKO that one. My other Typhlosion should be able to pop off an Eruption, which should kill the other two. This should be a pretty easy mini boss defeated. If you have a Jimmy Run team, you can do the mini bosses super easily. I don't want to fearmonger these too much, but just make sure you have a proper team because you don't want to end up wasting that spooky candy Pokeyen. So here, you obviously see I'm actually having some issues. That Typhlosion is going to die. It's totally okay. Having a backup Typhlosion or something else in the back is super nice. I should be able to just go ahead and bring in a separate Pokemon. Go ahead and spam Eruption with this Typhlosion. This fight should be pretty much over. Easy peasy. Nothing really to worry about, but just something to watch out for. We're going to throw up the Eruption. We're then going to go ahead and finish that fight. And once again, this is another thing that despawns and rotates every 20 minutes or so. And then I get a special candy. I believe you are guaranteed a special candy if you beat him. So you're consuming a spooky candy to always get a special candy if you are able to defeat him. The next activity is going to be straight up fighting the Pumpking boss. Now, I have a guide for this, which will be linked in the description. I don't want to spend too much time, honestly, talking on this. The main reason you want to fight the Pumpking boss is to get yourself the Skull Moth Wings, which is an unbelievably beautiful vanity. It is untradeable, so if you don't defeat the Pumpking boss on at least easy difficulty by the end of the event, these are gone forever. You'll never be able to obtain them. I can't recommend you guys enough to everyone should at least try to beat the Pumpking boss at least once. Once again, guide and team and everything you need for it linked in the description. Next up, we have the Galvantula raid, which will once again have a guide linked in the description. This one made by Cav, who's always kind of the king of raids when events like this pop around. Very, very talented PVM player who really likes to strategize. The Galvantula raid is kind of in the middle of Viridian Forest in Kanto, or I believe on Route 2 in Unova, different locations all around the map. And we can go ahead and then fight him in a team of 4. You can either have a link of 4 people prepared heading into this event, which makes it way easier with proper team coordination, or you can randomly queue into it and try to beat it with randoms, which is still very possible given the right strategy. Once again, Cav will explain all of that beautifully in his video linked in the description. Next up is going to be the treasure hunt that is farming the Pumpcats. This is not really a fully solved piece of content yet, probably the least discovered one that I've seen at this point in the event, once again, less than 15 hours or so. But the best resource I've seen on this is people in my Discord who are working tirelessly to try to get a list of all the possible locations given the clues. So essentially what you want to do is you want to come over to Lavender Town in Kanto or whatever city. I believe you should be able to do it with the Pumpkin boss. And there was a kitty cat right here, a Pumpcat, that I went ahead and I talked to. And then essentially she will give you a clue. Up in the top right hand corner of the screen, you can actually see it says 0 out of 30 Pumpcats found on my screen. You can then click this little black icon and it'll show you the Pumpcats I found, which is obviously 0 so far. But this will say, oh, a Pumpcat moved to a new hiding spot in Kanto. That's an important piece of information. And you hear a distinct chatter of people. So there's a big list in my Discord right now going over the different ones. So I would go over to that list and I would say, okay, indistinct chatter, Kanto. So my 2 options that are known right now are Saffron City and 2 Islands. So I would first head over to Saffron City and bike around and see if I could find it. And I was actually able to find it. And you have to keep an eye out for stuff like this because this kitty is trying to hide right behind the big Silphco. So let's go ahead and interact with this cat. They'll talk to us. Pumpcat delivered a treat. You get a small XP candy. And then gets a new hiding spot over in Kanto. You can go check once again what was the clue. You hear the cry of a rare Pokemon. I can head over to the list and says, okay, you hear the cry of a rare Pokemon. Where is this at on the list? The only possible option for this is Fuchsia City in Kanto. So I'm going to fly over to Fuchsia, do one more Pumpcat for you guys to show you what it looks like. And I would essentially just bike around the city trying to find it. And yep, there it is. Easy peasy. This is honestly really cute and fun. I haven't done this yet. And honestly, I'm really enjoying this. It's kind of fun to just go cross-check that list. There we go. So it's going to go find a new hiding spot. Once again, we can go check the clue, Kanto and the sound of trees. And I would go back and check the list and do this over and over again until it's complete. Now, doing this and completing this, from my understanding so far, the reward that I'm aware of is a unique Alpha Zorua encounter, which is unique to this event and is worth around a few 100,000 Pokeyen, I think around 200k or so at the time of this recording. Obviously, prices are subject to change. I don't know if there are other rewards for this challenge. If there are, let me know in the comments. That would be monstrously helpful. And I believe that's everything I wanted to cover. If you guys think I missed anything, once again, let me know in the comments politely and constructively. Like the video if it was helpful. That means the world to me. Subscribe to see videos like this covering the Halloween event, as well as many streams as possible, actually playing the event. I'll probably be going live very soon after recording this video. Discord is linked down below, of course, which is a massive help during this event. If you want to join the Discord for the event and then leave afterwards, I have no problems with that. Like I always say, like my Discord is so amazing because of the people in it. I don't even do that much in it. It's really just the community that's made it what it is. So thank you guys for that. If you want to go above and beyond and support my content, if it's helped you out enough during your Halloween adventures, YouTube memberships, Twitch Primes, Twitch subs, and PayPal/Venmo donations really do allow me to be here. I could not make this content without the time that you guys give me by helping me pay my rent, pay for food, and focus on making the best Pokemon content possible. So thank you guys for watching. Have a great day. I will see you all later. Peace, Reno. Hey, what's up? Patrouski here, and I just wanted to say thank you so much for watching until the very end of the video. That means the world to me, and if your name is listed here, that means you went above and beyond and supported the channel financially, which allows me to even be here and have the time to do this. So thank you so very much.